Magandang umaga, Malacañang Press Corps, and welcome sa ating press briefing ngayong araw, April 25. At yesterday's sectoral meeting, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. condemned in the strongest of terms the crimes of online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, or OSAEC, and child sexual abuse and exploitation materials, or CSAM, in the Philippines. President Marcos ordered the DILG, PNP, NBI, DOJ, DSWD, and other agencies in the National Coordinating Center to intensify the fight against OSAEC and CSAEC. In 2016, the Philippines emerged as the center of child sex abuse materials production in the world, based on a study done by UNICEF. In 2022, Disrupting Harm study conducted by UNICEF, ECPAT International, and Interpol shows that 20% of internet-using Filipino children, aged 12 to 17, or 2 million children, were victimized by OSAEC. Additionally, 23 to 38% of the children who are victims do not tell anyone about the harm being done to them. OSAEC is an egregious form of violence against children. It is a borderless and hidden crime. It happens mostly in the home and is likely facilitated by trusted guardians and sometimes parents. There are many drivers of this crime, including poverty, easy and unsupervised access to the internet and online payment portals, and prevailing social norms such as no touch, no harm, or it's just a webcam, and English being widely spoken. President Marcos ordered the DILG and PNP to intensify the monitoring of cases locally and abroad and have increased presence in communities. He ordered the DOJ and the PNP to come down on perpetrators with the full weight of the law and directed the DSWD and other agencies to streamline and improve the process of investigation to make sure that children are protected and families are properly reintegrated. He also ordered the further collaboration with private sector and internet service providers on a local and global scale, and an awareness campaign in schools and communities. And to give us a detailed breakdown of the ongoing initiatives to fight OSAEC and CSAM, we are joined by DOJ Assistant Secretary Jose Dominic Clavano IV and Officer in charge of the NCC OSAEC CSAM, Attorney Margarita Magsaysay, and the PNP Chief of Women and Children Protection Center, Police Brigadier General Portia Manalad. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite a heavy topic. Yep, let's proceed. Go ahead, Attorney Magsaysay.
So as mentioned by Ms. Daphne, we informed the President of the ongoing initiatives that our government agencies are doing to combat OSAEC and CSAM. So there is a lot of angles to fight this crime. We are focusing on 4 key result areas in order to combat this. So there's the prevention and advocacy. We have programs for that in order to raise awareness about the gravity of the crime. We also have the prosecution and law enforcement, where we of course have our law enforcement agencies helping out with the investigation of these crimes, and as well as our prosecutors to prosecute this crime. We also have our key result area on protection and reintegration, making sure that children have access to the mandatory services provided for them under the law, such as the emergency shelter, psychosocial services, and for them to be able to be reintegrated back into the society. And of course, we have another key result area, which is partnership and networking, making sure that we are engaging civil society organizations as well as other NGOs in order to help us combat this. So the President noted that we are doing a lot of initiatives, but he wants us to consolidate our efforts and focus more on each agency's expertise. So he was saying, insofar as the DOJ is concerned, focus all your efforts into the prosecution. So sa law enforcement, sa mga law enforcement agencies, really crack down on these perpetrators. Let's improve our tips, the leads that we're getting. Also for the grassroots level, for the DILG, let us create ordinances, to properly properly apprise the barangays on how to report cases of OSAIC and SISAM, as well as the for the DICT as well, so that they can also help us with the private sector, for them to be more cooperative. Of course, because they have data that will be able to that will help us generate and lead us to IP addresses of certain users, which will be helpful for our law enforcement agency officers to crack down on who are sending these kinds of SISAM, who is receiving these kinds of SISAM. So,
Thank you, Attorney Magsaysay. Let's move on to ASEC Clavano.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, this is indeed a very heavy topic because despite our efforts being considered a best practice around our region, we still see the insurgence of this type of crime, no? And as aptly described earlier, it's an egregious crime, a very heinous crime, and we believe that it is embedded in the culture already. There are certain difficulties that the law enforcement sees, no, when trying to quell this type of crime or to prevent this type of crime, because as also mentioned, it's a hidden crime, and it's hard to spot, especially because it's done within the homes of the families of the victims. And as pointed out, 74% of the cases are perpetrated by those that fall within what is called the circle of trust. And that involves, or that includes, parents, close relatives, and those who assert moral influence over the child. And obviously these things are very alarming. Yesterday at the meeting, the President was visibly distressed, very bothered, and clearly stressed with the information that was relayed to him, which is why he gave the directive, a very strong directive, to the DOJ, to the PNP, and other law enforcement agencies to further intensify the efforts. Not to say that we have not yet put any effort into this. There are a lot of key result areas which we are monitoring, which have been mentioned by ED Kit over here. But his directive is to further intensify these efforts, to further look into how we can come up with a holistic solution, because this cannot only be done by a whole of government approach, but if not, whole of nation approach, which includes the private sector, the social media platforms where these crimes usually occur. Facebook, for example, he asked the DOJ to intensify talks with Facebook and to remind them of their obligations under the law. So all of these have been taken into, obviously we've taken note of all of the directives of the President, and we do plan to implement them within our respective areas and respective departments and agencies. So under the DOJ, because we have already set forth Department Circular 20, which requires now the prosecutors to work hand in hand with our police officers, we believe that with the legal background and the law enforcement investigation skills of the police officers, we are able to build quality cases for the courts, no? Because previously there was only a very little or a very low level of evidence required to file a case. With the DC-20, with the advent of DC-20, only those that have sufficient evidence and a prima facie case with a reasonable certainty of conviction will be filed before the courts, thereby increasing the conviction rate. So this obviously puts a lot of pressure on our law enforcement agencies to get the right evidence, to get the right statements, to get the right witnesses to testify, to be able to come up with a very strong case. And I think this is one of the things that will help us in this endeavor, no? To prevent finally, or to finally put an end to OSAIC and SISAM. So with that, I would probably turn turn over the mic to General Portia to give the side of the PNP. Thank you very much.
General Manalad, go ahead.
The Women and Children Protection Center is the lead agency when it comes to OSAEC, being OSAEC considered as a trafficking in person case. Since 2019, we are trying to our best to do something or prevent OSAEC from happening. But then the law was passed last on OSAEC, which is RA 11930, last 2022, and we have numbers on operations, arrested and rescued victims. The Philippine National Police under the WCPC's work in OSAEC cases in investigation operations to rescue victims and arrest facilitators in the Philippines. We also collaborate with other foreign law enforcement agencies through the PICAC, or the Philippine Internet Crimes Against Children, which is under the Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center. The PICAC is composed of the UK National Crime Agency, the Australian Federal Police, the Netherlands Police, and the IJM. So together, they refer cases when they found on the devices on the other countries when they arrest criminals who have on their devices CISA-M, and then refer it to us if there are Asian-looking Filipino children, and we do the rescue and arrest of facilitators. In the Philippines, we only have facilitators or groomers. Right now, we don't have yet those perpetrators buying CISA-M. So that is for the Philippine National Police.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Harley Valbuena, DZME. Microphone.
Hi, good morning po. May we know if there is already a reported case of AI-generated child exploitation material in the Philippines, and what are our preparations against this?
Right now, we don't have AI generated, and we are but the Philippine National Police and of course the IACAT is preparing for that. I just arrived from a meeting through the virtual global task force, where we are even other countries like South Korea is still developing a tool to identify AI generated CISA-M.
Okay.
Are we doing the same, ma'am? Will we also develop a system to counter that?
Yes, as partners of those countries, we are trying to develop those tools in order to come up with one.
Maricel Halili, TV5.
Hello, magandang umaga po. Can we have details kung saan usually areas natin nakikita na rampant etong OSAEC and CISA-M, and sino usually yung market nila?
One moment. Ang nakikita po naming rampant ngayon areas of OSAEC and CISA-M ay Cagayan de Oro, Iligan, and Taguig. So yun po yung nakikita natin. Your second question is kung bakit po ito nangyayari?
Kung sino yung market nila?
Okay. Well, definitely po, they target the vulnerable. So who are the vulnerable? They are the children na who are in the poorer side of the country, no? Who are in the rural areas. Tina-target nila sila because they're easy targets because OSAEC is a financially lucrative activity. So kumakagat na yung mga ibang kumakagat na yung mga victims, mga 300, 200 for just showing CISA-M, showing nude pictures. Ganun na po sila, yes.
200 pesos?
200, 300 according, yes po. That's how bad it is. That's why nagugulat rin po kami na parang mas mababang ngayon ang value pero mas madaming CISA-M, and it's because of that. It's becoming cheaper, it's becoming more accessible to perpetrators. So yun po ang nakakagulat rin po. It's very alarming because CISA-M has become more accessible to these perpetrators.
So the following are the key findings of OSAEC victims. No? The average age of OSAIC victims at the time of referral or rescue was 11 years old, with less than 1 year old being the youngest. In fact, earlier, the youngest victim was about 3 months old, which is very alarming. It's something that is unthinkable for us, no? But apparently it happens, and all we have to do really is to spread the awareness, spread the information that these things are really not normal. Where the facilitator is a parent or a family member, the modal victim age is in the pre-adolescent range, while where the family facilitator is not a family member, the modal age profile is the adolescent range. Victims of OSAIC were predominantly female at 86%, and a significant number of victims, which is 14%, were male. OSAIC was usually a family-based crime, with the biological parents facilitating the abuse of 41% of the victims and other relatives facilitating the abuse for another 42% of the victims. And without intervention, the abuse usually lasts for 2 years. So this is the information and the research done by the National Coordinating Center. And obviously, these are going to be the target areas, and the policies obviously will revolve around the data that was collected.
And sino yung bumibili ng mga materials? Are they foreigners? From what countries?
Well, usually they are older men from English-speaking and more developed and Western countries. But the customers, as noted here, are not necessarily even pedophiles, meaning to say they don't have any overt acts in their own countries where they displayed pedophile tendencies. So they just enjoy watching them on the internet, social media, and other platforms. No? So, which is, again, very alarming because we seem to be a favorite spot or a source for these Western countries to abuse, to simply view, and it really does not feel comfortable, no, for our children, or for us in government, that our children are being used and viewed all over the country in this way.
Okay. Alan Francisco, PTV4.
Hi sir, hi ma'ams. Cagayan de Oro, Iligan, both from Mindanao at isa sa Taguig dito sa NCR. Anong commonality sir ng tatlong ito? Anong panawagan niyo sir sa authorities sa tatlong we consider top 3 na mataas yung kaso na ganitong hotspots ito sir? And ma'am, go ahead po.
When you say kasi po, there are a lot of incidences of OSAIC in those areas no po. It could be a good thing and a bad thing. Why do I say that? It could be a bad thing obviously kasi madaming OSAIC ang nangyayari doon. It could be a bad thing na po kasi madaming OSAIC nangyayari doon, but it could also be a good thing kasi that means mataas ang reporting. Because ang masama dito sa OSAIC, walang nagre-report. That's the challenge that we are trying to address here. It's as what sina ASEC are saying and sina Police Brigadier are saying na this is a hidden crime. Walang magustong magsumbong, walang child ang natatakot sila eh. That's their parents, diba? Who are the traffickers who are doing that to them? Takot sila na makukulong yung mga parents nila. No one wants to report this. Sa mga neighbors naman nila, ayaw rin nila mag-report yung mga neighbors kasi para sa kanila dapat walang pakialaman. This is a family business. This is a family affair. So, yun po, no? To know the true extent or the prevalence of OSAIC, talagang mahirap po talaga to get an accurate data because of the underreporting. So, yun po.
Okay. Ivan Mayrina, GMA7.
Nabanggit niyo po nag-number 1 source ng OSAIC ang Pilipinas in 2016. Has that changed?
I think it's better for us to be termed as a global hotspot. Kasi yun nga po, the prevalence, I think the accuracy of the data, it's hard to detect, first of all, kasi pati yung live streaming, we consider that live streaming of OSAIC and CSIM as a violation of the law, but wala pang internet intermediary ang nakakakuha or nakaka-note na mayroong live CSIM going on in their live streaming platform. So we can't really catch that. that's one of the things that we are in continuous talks with the internet intermediaries, mga social media platforms, is that we need to catch them in, the live streaming platforms that you are providing to your users. Dapat mahuli rin natin sila doon kasi madami nangyayari niyan eh.
Yeah, I was actually going to get there next. Are we getting cooperation from the telcos and also, from the social media platforms by which these are perpetrated?
Yeah. So we are getting cooperation. Meron namang mga internet intermediaries who give us access to their portals, which is easier for our intelligence agent to report to them any cases of OSAIC and CSAIM. That's good. But ayun nga, under the law kasi marami rin talaga silang duties and responsibilities eh. Like for example, their turnaround time for reporting to the DOJ any incidences of OSAIC is 24 hours. Nako-comply naman pero sometimes may mga lapses din. At saka ayun nga, we hope to be able to mandate yung mga internet service providers to continuously upgrade their system kasi we're hoping na we'll have that technology na hindi na po tayo IPv4. IPv6 na sana. What do I mean by that? The way I understand it is we are able to detect from one IP address to one definite user. So I understand that will be a definite big help sa mga law enforcement agents namin because they have the information. Kaya lang yung IPv4 na binibigay sa kanila ay ang dami mga users who are using the same IPv address. So ayun po, that's under the law. Talagang it's just a matter of pushing talaga or getting a policy from the government mandating mga telcos.
One last from my end. Do we have an estimate how much money goes around in OSAIC? I mean, how much is the quote-unquote industry worth?
I can give you po yung STRs, the Suspicious Transaction Reports that is reported by the AMLC. So in their study po, the volume of the suspicious transaction reports that was reported to them by the covered persons, mga banks ito, mga money service businesses, for the year 2020 ay 83,348,106 in value. So that's just for the... Yes, in pesos. So that's just for the second half, Second half of 2020. In 2021, yung STR volume po, Suspicious Transaction Report, was 68,214. That's the volume. And yung value naman ng volume na yon is 996,705,339.80 pesos. Sa 2022 naman, the STR volume is 92,200 and its value was 478,278,797 pesos, 0.81 cents.
So safe to say billions na po ang
Billions.
umikot na pera dito.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe also we can go back to how during the pandemic, when children were at home, they were not safe. Okay. The study also shows that children are largely unsupervised online in the Philippines. Meaning, akala nyo safe sila, tahimik sila, okay sila, pero hindi nyo naman alam kung anong ginagawa nila sa internet. So, unsupervised by parents. They are English-speaking, so targeted sila ng mga predators abroad dahil madali silang kausap at mababait ang mga Filipinos. They're hospitable. And again, easy and free access to the internet and mobile phones dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya naman, yesterday, President Marcos was very, very alarmed and very, very disturbed at gusto niya itong tutukan ng lahat ng ahensya and whole of society and even the private sector. Dahil sabi niya, wala sa kultura natin ito. Hindi to gawa ng Filipino. However, dahil online na siya at masyado na siyang common, even the parents think na wala namang nasasaktan dahil camera lang siya. Pero mali yun. Okay, let's go to Julie Aurelio, Inquirer.
Hello, Attorney Magsaysay. You mentioned, you've all mentioned that OSAIC and CSAIM is a hidden crime. Given that we have a problem with the reporting of cases, do you have like a projection or an estimate of how much is actually goes unreported? say if you have say 5 cases, how much is actually unreported to you?
It's hard to
It's hard to capture something po na unreported. But ganito na lang
Maybe
po.
just a projection.
Yeah. So a lot of our investigations na po are actually coming from law enforcement, international law enforcement. Yung sinasabi po ni Police General na PICAC na po, we have very good coordination with them. And doon lang natin sometimes nalalaman na meron palang biktima dito. So and I think we get a lot of our tips and leads from the foreign law enforcement. So nakakatulong po sila because ayun nga we're not, if we don't have any tips coming from them of any Filipino victim who is in the Philippines, we will not know because it's hard to be able to know na kung hindi walang reporting sa ganun.
Sorry, I'm sorry, ma'am. My next question is directed to you. So, tama po ba yung intindi ko? There are little to few cases reported to local law enforcement?
Is there a little thing?
Tama ba, ma'am? General Manalad?
Yes, ma'am. Ganito po kasi yan. May mga findings kami na sa ibang bansa, pag may mga nahuli, yung ating mga other foreign law enforcement agencies, they will refer those cases to us pag may nakita sila sa devices na may mga foreign, Asian-looking. So pag nakita nila yon, ni-refer sa amin, we will try to find yung bata, kung sino man yung nandoon sa CSAM. And then, pag nakita namin na Filipino yon, we will try to rescue the child. And arrest yung kanyang facilitator na sinabi natin kanina, usually somebody na parang relative or guardian ng bata. Ganito po kasi nakikita namin, isang facilitator, maraming bata. So kaya dumadami yung CSAM natin. Kasi sa isang bata, usually 2, 3. Ganon po yun. So isang facilitator o isang offender na nasa Philippines, ang kanyang nakukuha or yung nasa ibang bansa, ang nakukuha niyang CSAM ay marami. Maraming bata ang kanyang nalulure o yung nakukuha o nagugroom, yung tawag ho namin. So maraming CSAM from the Philippines, sometimes isa lang ang offender o isa lang ang facilitator or groomer.
Just to follow up, sorry, just the last question. Following up on that, when you arrest the perpetrators or the groomers or the facilitators of the crime, ano yung explanation ano yung sinasabi nila sa inyo, why do they do that to their own wards, to their own children? And the second question may be answered by the DOJ. Do you have statistics on successful prosecution of such cases, like which actually reach the prosecutor's level, the court level, etc.? Thank you. Yes, ma'am. General
Yes,
Manalad.
of course, yung sasabihin nila, kailangan nila ng pera. Talaga napakadali hong kumita dito sa ganitong transaction, lalo na kung galing sa ibang bansa. Yung isang offender namin, millions ang kita niya sa isang buwan. So, masyadong lucrative or masyado siyang enticing para. And yung kanilang galing lang sa paggawa ng mga channels ang kanilang puhunan. Others naman, lalo na kung ito ay kamag-anak, facilitator on the or grooming para magbigay o gumawa ng isang content ang bata o isang CSAM. Usually, hindi nila alam yung mga magulang na ito pala ay kung hindi naman physically nahahawakan yung bata, ay walang harm dun sa bata. O kaya, sometimes yung mga magulang ay wala doon at itong mga bata ay nasa guardian. So, ganun po yung nakikita namin usually na reason o yung mga bakit yung bata ay nagkamero ng CSAM sa internet.
So on the
Sa
side of
prosecution po, yung sa prosecution.
prosecution,
Po, sir.
yes. So I have data here on the convictions made under several laws before the the OSAIC law was passed. So since 2009, there have been 523 convictions. When the law was passed in 2022, there was out of the 523, almost 200 200 convictions were made after the law was passed. So we see a very significant jump, no, after this law and this tool was given to the law enforcement and to the prosecution to actually convict perpetrators of OSAIC and CSAM. However, this number is still not satisfactory to the government and to the president. And that is why he asked and he directed the relevant agencies to further ramp up their efforts. Because even if we have seen a spike because of the law that was given to us, and we obviously thank the Congress for giving us such a valuable tool in preventing these and to catch these perpetrators, we still think that there's a lot to be done, a lot of ground to be covered in terms of OSAIC. And as already mentioned, these will come in the form of grassroots reporting mechanisms, whereby people who are embedded in the community, people who have standing in their areas, will serve as that mechanism to bridge between the community where the crime actually happens and the law enforcement who can do something about it. No? But even then, just so I may add, even if the law enforcement gets a hold of the information, it's still a tough job considering that most of the perpetrators are within the circle of trust. So, we have to look at the problem holistically to be able to come up with a holistic solution as well. Because once you separate the families from the child victim, the problem does not end there. You have to be able to reintegrate them properly into society. Without the necessary rehabilitation, reformation, and reintegration into the community, then you're just creating a bigger problem. So these two things go hand in hand, the convictions, the prosecution, wherein we will take strides in making improvements, but also the reintegration, reformation, rehabilitation of the victims.
Alvin Baltasar, Radyo Pilipinas.
Good morning, sirs. Maybe I should address my question to General Manalad. General, can you cite lang po yung several traumas na na-experience ng victim, particularly doon sa mga bata, since pinag-uusapan natin mga bata. And ano po yung mga ginagawa nating measures para yung naranasan nilang ganitong mga experiences, hindi nila dalhin sa paglaki nila?
Nasabi ko kanina na ang WCPC or ng Philippine National Police is involved in the investigation, the rescue, and arrest of the facilitator. During the process, of course, yung ating mga investigators are trained to handle children. And may mga tools na rin ho tayo like VD, the video, during the interview, meron na rin ho tayong tools na ginagamit so that they will not be re-traumatized when they tell what happened to them, yung pag-interview ng police. During the interview ho, nandun ang DSWD as part of the IACAT. And then yun pong psychological intervention ho, under yun ng DSWD. Sa amin ho is the interview so that we can file cases against the perpetrators. But then, ganun din ho, kami ho ay trained in the Philippines and abroad on how to handle children, victims of OSAIC. So, sa tingin ko ho, and yung trauma ho, nakikita namin na meron ho kaming mga dati na rescue, pero ngayon ho ay facilitators na when they grow up. Yun ho yung mga nakikita namin na may mga nakita ho kami na gano'n. Though ko konti ho, ayun ho ang ayaw namin maulit pa. But then maganda ho yung programa ng gobyerno, especially ng tulong ng IACAT through yung different agencies, lalo na yung DSWD as partner ho namin during the handling or yung interviewing of the child victim.
Okay. Alexis Romero, Philippine Star.
Yung nabanggit ni General, medyo disturbing po yun. Yung dating victims, naging exploiters na. So, tanong ko muna, ano po bang sectors yung vulnerable sa ganitong uri ng crimes? Again, ano yung profile ng mga usually nabibiktima nito? Although nabanggit nyo yung they are from poor families mostly.
Meron po. This, a lot of studies actually po were conducted already regarding sa OSAIC na po. So this was a study conducted by IJM. Yung mga key findings sa mga OSAIC victims. So I think this was actually mentioned also by ASIC Miko, no? So they are usually from the vulnerable sector of society. Usually also, family-based crime siya. So usually dapat may access talaga yung facilitator sa child. Is that po what you were asking? Kung ano po yung
usually
profiles nila?
low income families.
Low income, yes. Opo.
So what are we doing to address? Kasi apparently, nagiging cycle siya. So in the long term, how do you change the mindset of these people? Kasi may mga tao na na-rescue nyo, and then ibabalik din sila sa dati. And worse, they can even encourage some people around them na, oh, this is a lucrative business. So how do you end that kind of cycle?
Okay. So this is where the wonderful partnership with civil society organizations and NGOs come in. We were fortunate enough to meet, there's this NGO, they're called Bidisleo Foundation. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of them. They're based in Cebu. And what they do is that those OSAIC and traffic victims who are reintegrated na into society, hinahanapan nila ng trabaho. So they partner with private sectors and they try to train these mga reintegrated victims and capacitate them in order for them to become employable sa mga partner nila with the private sectors. So, you know, as mentioned by General Manalad, the DSWD is also doing its part. Pero ang maganda rin talaga dito, madaming NGOs also who are helping out, who have that kind of program. So, isa na yun. Maganda po talaga. We were able to visit yung mga ginagawa nilang mga programs, mga baking, ganon, yung parang mga helping out sa mga call center agents. So, minsan do, ang napapansin nila, nag-relapse yung mga OSAIC victims. But then, you know, they were saying na we're always here to help you out also. You can always come back. Huwag na kayo lumingon ulit. You know, keep moving forward. So, that's just one of the many programs that other NGOs are also doing para tuloy-tuloy na gumanda yung buhay nila after the incidences.
Though poverty is one of the biggest drivers of this crime, the president did say yesterday that poverty is not an excuse to hurt children. At nananawagan siya sa mga pamilya, bantayan ng mga bata dahil wala talagang, for him talaga walang crime na mas malaki than this. Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Okay, kay General Manalad po. Going back dun po sa question dun sa AI-generated exploitation materials, no, you said na wala pa pong reports na nangyayari dito sa Pilipinas. But how seriously is the PNP and the government looking at this? And also, sino po kaya yung pwedeng maging vulnerable with this new types of technology, and what is the government doing about this po?
Doon po sa AI-generated, gaya ho nung sinabi ko, even other countries are still developing the tool in order to really identify AI-generated. Kasi hindi naman ho pwede nating sabihin na AI-generated ito. Ang isang challenge nga ho sa atin dito is pag na-identify natin, kahit nga ho yung ibang bansa, pag na-identify natin na AI-generated ito, tama ba kung yung bantas ba natin ay sapat para masabi na ito ay CSAM. So kahit yung ibang bansa po, yung mga ibang law enforcement agency, challenge ito sa kanila talaga. So we're still developing that tool. We are very serious ho. We really parang tinitingnan ho namin ito na challenge talaga para sa amin later on. Kasi ngayon nga lang ho, di ba ho? Nasa dark web sila. Kami ho ay we are trying to find really yung technology na kaya nila nahabulin, or parati ho silang nandun sa kumbaga a step ahead sa amin. And then Then itong AI-generated, we are really doing everything na yung mga personnel namin, doing yung undercover and investigation, I trained with the tools. We are still waiting for the tools, but we are ongoing na ho yung trainings for the AI-generated and other AI materials yung para sa CSAM po.
Hindi po ba tayo natatakot na by the time that we get the tools already or the technology is in place already, then it's already too late na?
Sa ngayon ho, meron ng trainings. And then the tools, we are waiting for that one, for the law enforcement side ho. For CSAM ho ito, hindi ho yung AI na ibang ano. We are waiting for that one. Last week lang ho, I was able to join yung Virtual Global Task Force. Meron na silang dinedevelop. So baka padating na rin ho sa atin. And ititrain din ho yung mga tao natin. Pero ang iba't ibang UN agencies naman ho are giving already kinacapacitate na yung mga ating mga law enforcers para doon sa identification. But wala pa ho ng tools.
Kung pwede lang po magtanong ng other topic.
Wait, before we move on to another topic, okay, is yours related to this, Sam? Yeah, Sam Medanilia, Business Mirror.
For Ma'am Magsaysay po, earlier na-mention po nila yung data nung transactions na galing sa data ng AMLC, yung regarding po dun sa suspicious transaction report. Bali yung data po yun purely related lang po sa OSAIC at KASEM or may other illegal activities rin na nandun sa amount na yun.
Opo. The way that the covered persons reported it sa AMLC po, sa mga narrative report nila sa SCR, it was tagged as CSAM or sa child pornography, no? Before ang tawag doon, but it's OSAIC na po ngayon eh. So yes, just to OSAIC.
Tapos ano po ba yung primary mode for transacting? Na-mention po nila na millions of pesos yung nag-exchange dito. So ano po ba yung ginagamit nilang mode para ano?
Ang madalas po ay mga money service banks. So yung po yung nakikita ng trend po ng ating ng AMLC, it's mostly money being generated from or remittances coming from money service banks.
Tapos ano pong, are there any measures to regulate this para hindi na po siya magamit?
Well, our AMLC po has conducted po mga studies na po. So included sa mga studies nila may mga red flags doon, indicators what could possibly constitute, what money transactions could possibly constitute sa OSAIC and CSAM. So for instance, money in small amount na coming from abroad to someone in the Philippines na hindi naman nila kamag-anak. 'Di ba? So parang little by little na everyday kahit gaano kamaliit pero laging may natatanggap from that certain person or from someone from abroad na laging may pinapadala na little amount but to different people dito sa Philippines. So those are some, it's hard kasi po eh, kasi diba hindi naman talaga OSAIC at CSAM nakikita nila. But those could be red flag indicators that that kind of crime is ongoing. So under the law also po, we are waiting po for the guidelines for the AMLC in order to be to properly guide po yung mga payment system providers natin on what constitutes as red flags, as what possible money transactions could be OSAIC.
Tapos last question na lang po. Na-mention rin po nila kanina nakikipag-cooperate po sila sa mga social media at telcos. Na-mention po nila na meron sila yung reporting mechanism. Pero meron din po bang data regarding dun sa kung ilang accounts yung pina-close down ng mga social media or telcos regarding dito sa...
So, ang close down po is different from takedown. So, when you say close down, sa NTC yon, sila talaga yung nagbablock ng buong website. Kapag takedown naman, you just take down the material. Opo. So, I do have data. I'll just skim over po my notes for that. But, one moment.
Sige po. Thank you po.
Okay. We'll get back to you because we're running out of time. Let's go back to Alvin Baltasar,
Okay.
Radyo Pilipinas.
Other topic po sana.
Ay. Mamaya na.
Mamaya na po.
Eden
Miss
Santos,
Daphne,
Net
Miss
25.
Daphne, I can
Go
answer
ahead,
his
yeah.
question already. So sa IACAT po and sa NCCO SIC, we have our Cyber Tip Monitoring Center. So we have intelligence agents there. So since August of 2023, ang takedown po na cases nila, na takedown po nila sa using the Meta portal, Meta which is Facebook, ay 81. 81 takedown na po ng mga OSAIC at SISAI materials.
Okay. So, Eden Santos, Net 25.
Kay Brigadier General Manalad, is it possible po, General, na ngayon pa lang pwedeng pag-aralan na po yung posibleng batas na pwedeng isulong sa Kongreso laban po dito sa mga AI-generated materials? Para pagdating nung trainings ninyo, meron na rin nakasuportang batas, ano po. Lalo't alam naman natin ngayon, talagang talamak po itong mga deepfake, at lalo Pangulo natin, isa na rin sa mga biktima po.
Ma'am, pasok na po siya sa Republic Act 11930. Nag-uusap po kami ngayon ni DOJ, ni ASEC po. Pasok na po siya sa Republic Act 11930. We're just ang kanina ho ang sinasabi kong challenge is yung pag dumating ho siya ay yung katulad sa ibang bansa na hindi siya yung technology ho kasi ang pinag-uusapan ho natin dito is the technology. So but then kung ito hong pinag-uusapan natin is the basic AI generated, di ba po? It's already in the law. So 11930.
Just to build on what General said, no, because there are some internet intermediaries, meron na silang systems in place, no, kapag real child ang involved, yun talaga madedetect nila if SISAIM is going on. But they're telling us their system does not yet recognize AI-generated children. So I guess that's what General Manalad po is saying, is that they're trying to improve or upgrade their system to recognize these IA-generated images of children.
Isa pa ho, can you consider it as lucrative business talaga? Kaya parang paulit-ulit lang, pabalik-balik. At saka hindi ho ba dapat mas stiffer yung penalty laban doon sa mga mapapatunayan po either kahit magulang pa nila yan or kamag-anak para hindi na parang pabalik-balik, paulit-ulit lang yung nangyayaring mga ganitong mga kaso.
Ma'am, pag napatunayan na nag-violate talaga ng RA 11930, ang pinakamataas na penalty yata, ma'am, is life imprisonment. Yun po ang nasa batas. Lucrative po, kanina po nasabi, ma'am, na talagang millions, hundreds of millions ang kinikita ng facilitator or ng perpetrator po. So, sa tingin ko po, very lucrative siya when it comes to financial gain.
Okay.
Last na lang po. Kunwari po yung bata, ang facilitator, yung magulang, meron na po bang pagkakataon na nag-urong ng reklamo yung bata or hindi niya po pinayagan na makasuhan yung magulang? Yung ating pong batas ang siyang nagsusulong ng kaso against sa magulang.
Sa ngayon po, wala pa kami nakita na umurong yung bata dahil magulang o nanay. Usually ho, ang bata ay nakahiwalay na kagad sa magulang o sa kung ang perpetrator ho, o yung facilitator niya ay yung nanay niya o yung tatay niya.
To add to that, no po, we actually have, the DOJ actually issued a memorandum circular, no, directing all our prosecutors to vehemently oppose mga affidavit of desistance that was executed by the child or the family or the guardians. So, ayun po. That's actually also as directed under the law. Bawal pong affidavit of desistance.
Okay, Narciso, DZRH. We have time for just a few more questions.
As a Clavano, doon po sa nabanggit 200 convictions noong 2022. Pwede pong malaman out of ilang cases na na-file ito?
About 750 cases. So it's a very high conviction rate. Again, mainly because of the case build-up rule. So nagkaroon po tayo ng magandang mechanismo together with the police and the prosecutors na hindi naman tayo magpa-file ng case pag alam natin na mahinang ebidensya. So with the new department circular, mandating the hand-in-hand coordination between the police and the prosecutors, we've come up with a very good conviction rate. However, just the number of cases that have been filed alone are unsatisfactory to us so far. So kahit maganda po yung conviction rate, and at least we know that we have a good mechanism on hand, we still have to ramp up the number of cases being filed in court.
Okay, can we entertain, go ahead, Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Other topic po, Yusek Clavano. Si former Senator Trillanes said that he has information that ICC investigators are already in communication with active and former PNP officials in connection to their ongoing probe on the previous administration's drug war. Meron na po ba is the DOJ aware of this?
Well, we have not received the same information. No? So, just like everybody else, we found out from Senator Trillanes about this supposed development. But I think we've been consistent from the very start that we have a working justice system here in the Philippines, evidenced by a lot of different cases and reforms that we have been undertaking. And the commitment has never been stronger, no, to prevent and to hold responsible and accountable those erring law enforcement officers who engage in this heinous crime, I would say, no, of extrajudicial killings. So even without verifying the information, the government stance is consistent ever since. The president has been very firm by saying that we will not recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC because we indeed have a very well and robust justice system.
Following on that, sir, since the Philippines will not cooperate in the ICC probe, does that cover government officials as well? Meaning, bawal po ba sila makipag-cooperate on their personal capacity if kinontak sila ng ICC?
Well, as mentioned by the Solicitor General, this is a government policy. No? So when a government officer or official is coordinating with the ICC against, no, the direction or the orders and the policy of the government, there may be accountability involved. So it's, if there's any law enforcement or government official that goes against the policies and orders of the authorities in position, then obviously there will be some sort of conflict of interest. There will be accountabilities and definitely liabilities that go with it.
What about retired officials, sir?
Well, if they are acting in their civilian capacity or personal capacity, then of course we have little to hold over them, no? However, again, we will not recognize anything that will come out of that conversation or coordination with them.
Thank you.
Last na lang, sir, anong pwedeng ikaso sa kanila? Yung mga magko-cooperate, sir?
There
Government officials.
are certain provisions under Republic Act 6713, which is the conduct of public officers. So these are ethical guidelines followed by all public officials. And obviously, if you go against the policy, it will be found under those provisions, no? The liabilities.
Thank you. Alvin Baltasar, Radio Pilipinas. Mike, please. Eden. Oh.
Asek Clavano, other matters din po. Asek, any update on the legal process currently being undertaken in the case of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy amid his refusal to subject himself to the court's jurisdiction?
Well, obviously, the respondent or the accused has to submit his person to the court for the court to be able to assert its jurisdiction, no? And to subject him to other processes under the law. As of right now, there are 2 outstanding warrants of arrest for the 2 cases of child abuse and qualified trafficking. Just as an update as well, we've transferred the cases from Davao to Pasig City so that the same team of prosecutors may be able to prosecute both cases together and jointly. No? We are still, obviously he's still at large, so the law enforcement agents are still on the lookout and they've continued the operations to be able to arrest on the basis of the warrants that have been issued by the court.
Asek, since nabanggit nyo na he's still at large, based on the information you have, nandito pa rin ba siya sa Pilipinas?
Yes, we do have information that he is still within the country, unless there are new developments from the police. No, but as far as our information is concerned at the DOJ, he is currently still in the country.
Isa na lang, Asek. How about the case of Bantag and Tevez? Kamusta na po sila?
Well, obviously there's an international component to the Tevez case, no? He is now arrested and under the custody of the police in Timor-Leste. However, we are awaiting the decision of the courts there, as we have submitted already the request for extradition, no? The NBI, when they got to Timor-Leste, actually, that operation was a success because when they had arrived in Timor-Leste, 2 hours after their arrival, the arrest of Tevez happened. No? And for them to come home without him is not an unsuccessful operation. In fact, it was successful because the only responsibility of the law enforcement, especially the NBI director, was to have him arrested. So it was a success. I think the director was just being humble when he said that they were being uncooperative over there, but it was no longer his responsibility. It is the responsibility of the legal team to now go through the process to have him extradited or deported back to the Philippines. So, with these things, we just have to stay patient. We are dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's to make sure that we follow the right process. We afford the respondent due process, so that there is nothing that can be attributed to the government saying that we took shortcuts and whatnot. So we have taken every process possible to get this done. And we're here at the tail end now. Once he's back here in the Philippines, we hope that he will muster the courage to finally face his charges in court.
Yung kay Bantag, Asek?
Yung kay Bantag, patuloy pa din po yung manhunt ho natin. No? We have a general idea already of his whereabouts. So it's just a matter of time. Again, with these things, we just have to stay patient. These things don't happen overnight. The wheels of justice, they grind slowly, but they grind very finely. So we just have to stay patient.
Thank you, boss.
And no, okay. I think this. Okay, last question. Julie Aurelio, Inquirer. Yeah, it's okay. Mike, please.
May request po yung akbayan for the DOJ to issue a whole departure order against Kibuloy. What do you have to say about that request? Thank you.
Yes, that has been brought up, and I believe the prosecutors have already filed their motion to issue a whole departure order. These are normal legal processes that the prosecutors are very used to. So once you have a respondent or an accused that is a flight risk, especially given the resources that this person has, then the prosecutors are very diligent in making sure that doesn't happen. No, that the accused is able to leave the country without actually facing the allegations in the proper forum.
But so far, sir, is he on the lookout bulletin of the BI?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for all the questions, Malacañang Press Corps. And again, on the OSAIC and CSAM, the President would like to convene another meeting next month. So we should probably hear another update from that. Thank you, General Manalad, ASEC Clavano, and Attorney Magsaysay of the DOJ. And maraming salamat, Malacañang Press Corps. Good afternoon.